You see him? Wait till I slap it. Alright, yeah, wait. Wait till I come back in the market late night, and then it's just you and I you up.
Children gonna be children. Kids will be kids, man. You know what I'm saying? I expect that from them. I expect them to do the wrong thing.
Word on the street is that King Harris's reckless mouth behind bars has finally come back to haunt him. Now his father, T.I., is scrambling to calm the storm, but insiders claim the damage is already done. And the gang's inside? They're not just trying to scare King, they're looking to silence him for good. Let me break down how it all started. The traffic stop that changed everything. Picture this: 20-year-old King Sandra Harris, son of trap legend Clifford T.I. Harris Jr., behind the wheel of a sleek black BM. What should have been a simple late-night drive through the suburbs turned into a moment that would light up Twitter feeds, Instagram stories, and world star comments overnight. King, known for flexing online and chasing rap clout, was about to watch his past catch up to him in the ugliest way. And it all began with what looked like nothing more than a routine traffic slip-up. According to Fox 5, Atlanta and the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, King nearly clipped a Dunwoody police cruiser while pulling out of a gas station. Instantly, the squad car flipped around, lights flashing, sirens screaming, target locked on the Beamer. But this wasn't about some harmless moving violation. As the officer approached the car, he caught the strong smell of loud and noticed something heavy sitting on King's hip. That's when a routine stop went from 0 to 100 real fast. The entire moment was captured on body cam footage, which later leaked in 2025. In the clip, the officer stays calm, explaining the stop and asking King to step out of the car.
Well, I'm saying that you weren't allowed to turn left right there because it's separated by those double yellow lines. I got you. Do you have your license on you? Go ahead and step it up. Okay, Mr. Harris. Okay, we gotta have a talk about something else, so keep your hands on the steering wheel for me.
That something else was about to flip a simple suburban traffic stop into full-blown hood drama. When officers ran King Harris's government name through the system, they uncovered an active bench warrant out of Pickens County, Georgia. The warrant? Failure to appear in court on charges dating all the way back to 2022. To really understand how deep this ran, you've got to rewind. In August 2022, King got pulled over and slapped with 3 misdemeanors: speeding, driving under the influence of drugs, and knowingly rolling in a car with a suspended license. Pretty standard traffic issues, at least on paper. But King never handled his business. When the court sent out a notice in September 2024, it bounced back undelivered. And in Georgia, missing a court date, even for something small, can instantly turn into a bench warrant. That's exactly what happened. So by October, when King nearly clipped that police cruiser in the suburbs, that old warrant was waiting hot and ready. From there, the stop only got heavier. Body cam footage shows officers picking up the smell of loud and questioning the steel in the whip. Instead of ducking or denying, King kept it a buck straight up, admitting he had burners on him.
I smell some weed in the car, so our procedures, we gotta check it. Is there anything else that I need to be aware of?
Nah, I don't want y'all to check the car.
I can't hear you.
I don't want y'all to search the car.
Well, I understand that, but if I smell weed, that's probable cause to search the vehicle.
You're not gonna find nothing. You're gonna find my guns.
Just multiple guns?
I got a stick, an AR.
For many who later watched the body cam footage, this moment was straight up shocking. The son of a trap pioneer openly admitting he was riding dirty with heavy firepower and that loud in the mix, but what stood out to the officers wasn't his attitude or any aggression. It was his calm. Despite the heat of the moment, King kept it cool the whole way through. Hands visible on the wheel, stepping out the car when told. Even making small talk with the cops like it was nothing. At one point, one of the officers even told him,
"You seem like a cool kid. I don't want anything to come out of this, so let's just make sure that the warrant's valid and go from there, okay?"
That same calm vibe carried through nearly the entire footage. But the moment the warrant came back confirmed it was game over. King Harris was quickly cuffed and taken into custody.
So they did confirm it. The warrant is valid and they do want you.
Well,
And now that I'm thinking about it, I want you to make sure that you know your rights. I'm gonna read your Miranda real quick. Just give me 1 sec. Just gonna read you your Miranda rights. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law.
That was the classic Miranda moment, the point where everyone watching New King was officially in the system. First, he was processed at DB County Jail before being moved over to Pickens County, where the warrant had started. But what really added fuel to the drama was when the officers realized who they had just locked up. In the middle of small talk inside the patrol car, King casually revealed that his father was none other than the King of the South himself.
what's your stage name so I can look you up?
King Harris.
King Harris?
You know T.I.?
Huh?
T.I.?
Who's that?
That's my
No,
father.
I don't.
That revelation set the internet on fire. Viewers quickly pointed out this wasn't just another young kid caught slipping. This was the son of a trap legend, now staring down the same kind of legal headaches his father, T.I., had battled years ago. Here's where the twist came in. Despite the weed, the weapons, and the warrant, King Harris didn't end up doing a long bid. In fact, less than 24 hours later, on October 15, 2024, the warrant was recalled and King walked free. No fresh charges were filed for the loud or the firearms, likely thanks to Georgia's laws, with license carry being legal and small amounts of weed usually bringing just a citation. The whole case fizzled almost as fast as it started, but while the legal storm cleared, the cultural fallout was undeniable. His arrest dominated headlines. TMZ, Hot New Hip Hop, and countless blogs ran with T.I.'s son arrested, guns and weed found, warrant confirmed. So why did this short-lived arrest land so heavy in the culture? Because on paper, it was just a quick bust, but symbolically it felt bigger. For years, T.I. had warned his son about chasing a street image he didn't need, saying it could land him in prison. And now, that warning was playing out for the world to see. At the same time, the body cam footage told a more layered story. King wasn't wild, hostile, or reckless. He was calm, almost resigned. He even spoke about being confused over the warrant and asked if he could reach out to his pops.
What I would appreciate more than anything right now is to be able to make a phone call. So when we get there, we can already be figured
To
out.
who? Who are you trying to make a phone call
I'm
to?
trying to make a phone call to my pops.
For the culture, that clip became a rare humanizing moment. King Harris, usually online flexing his street persona, looked less like a rebel and more like a young man in cuffs, asking to call his father. The footage didn't surface until 2025, but once it hit YouTube and the hip-hop blogs, it sparked heated debates. Some called it proof that King was forcing a street image, echoing Atlanta Black Star's blunt take. Others defended him, saying a bench warrant over traffic tickets could happen to any young adult. Still, the optics were undeniable. T.I.'s son, with weed and burners, arrested in the suburbs. Overnight, King's image as someone who stayed in the mix was cemented. But that arrest was only the spark. Because while official records showed just a short jail stint and quick release, the streets pushed a darker story. By 2025, rumors spread online that King had been sentenced to 5 years, got jumped in county, or that T.I. himself was calling OGs to keep his boy safe. Behind every viral clip of King Harris stood another figure, the father, Clifford T.I. Harris Jr., trying to balance love, discipline, and public scrutiny. And while King's October 2024 arrest made headlines, it was only one chapter in a long, messy family saga, a generational clash of values, pride, and identity that had been building long before those flashing lights in Dunwoody. For years, T.I. had warned his son he was heading down the wrong path. He didn't sugarcoat it, pointing to fights at Waffle House, weapons flashed online, and a hunger for street validation that reminded him too much of his own past. T.I. had lived that life. In 2009, he served time on federal weapons charges. He knew where that road ended and often told King straight up, "Keep this up and you'll end up in prison." When King was finally cuffed in October 2024, it felt like prophecy fulfilled, but even before that night, cracks in their bond were playing out in public. At a Falcons game in late 2023, father and son clashed in front of cameras. King insisted he wasn't raised spoiled, saying he spent much of his childhood with his grandmother instead of in T.I. and Tiny's mansion. For King, it was about authenticity. For T.I., it was frustrating, a son rejecting the stability he had fought to provide. That stadium spat became a metaphor, a father and son wrestling over identity, while the world watched like it was a reality show. So when police pulled King in October 2024 and found weed, guns, and a warrant, it wasn't just a routine bust. It shook the Harris family foundation. Yet, the image of King asking for his father in cuffs cut through all the bravado. It showed the fragile bond beneath the drama, that even in defiance, he still saw T.I. as the one man who could save him. Publicly, T.I. stayed composed. No angry posts. No staged press conference. But behind the scenes, reports say he was on the phones, lawyers, clerks, whoever he needed to manage the fallout. It wasn't just about clearing charges. It was about protecting the Harris name and the empire he had built far beyond rap. Ironically, as T.I. juggled the chaos of his son's arrest, King was stepping into fatherhood himself. In November 2024, he and longtime partner Janesia Big Nana Epps welcomed their baby boy. King Jr. for T.I., the timing was heavy with meaning. In a Hot 107.9 interview not long after, he cracked a joke, but beneath the laugh was a truth bomb about the cycle of fatherhood and responsibility.
King's about to have a son.
King's about to have a son. Congrats.
Yeah. And I told him I'm gonna make this the greatest gangster of all times. I will raise this child to torture you the way that you tortured me.
It was funny. It was raw. But beneath the humor was a hard truth the cycle was repeating. King, once the rebellious son, was now the father stepping into his own test. For most families, an arrest or father-son fight stays behind closed doors. But the Harrises aren't most families. Every stumble becomes a headline. Every clash turns into a viral clip. Billboard covered the arrest. Atlanta Black Star mocked King for wanting to be a thug so bad. Social media turned his life into endless memes. For T.I., that meant every struggle as a father played out publicly. For King, it meant every misstep was amplified as proof of recklessness. Together, they became a spectacle, part hip-hop dynasty, part reality show, part cautionary tale. King once compared his relationship with T.I. to Ghost and Tariq from Power. It wasn't just a joke, it fit perfectly. Ghost, the father, fought his way out of the streets to build an empire, desperate to keep his son from repeating the same mistakes. Tariq, the son, rejects that protection, chasing independence even when it leads him down dangerous paths. That's the Harris dynamic in a nutshell. What makes their story resonate isn't just fame or controversy, it's the humanity. A father who loves but fears for his son. A son who loves but refuses to show it. A family caught between privilege and authenticity, trying to live as both ordinary and extraordinary. By the time 2025 rolled around, it was clear King's saga was bigger than one arrest. It became about generational push and pull, the cycle of hip-hop families, and the eternal question, can children of fame carve out their own legacy? King Harris's future, his music, his fatherhood, his place in T.I.'s shadow will decide whether he grows or remains trapped in headlines for the wrong reasons. Too often, the conversation starts and ends with that October arrest, the flashing lights, the body cam, the mugshot. But King's story isn't just about a Dunwoody parking lot. It's about where he goes from here as an artist, a father, and the heir to one of hip-hop's most complicated legacies. Because while the rumors of gang beefs and prison bids flood the internet, the truth is unfolding in real time. New music, a newborn son, and a father-son clash that feels bigger than one family. That next chapter began on November 5th, 2024, just weeks after his arrest, when King and his longtime partner, Janesia Big Nana Epps, welcomed their baby boy. King Jr. King proudly posted, November 5th, 8:09 ML, welcome King. Junior time to take over. Becoming a father at 20 is life-changing for anyone, but for King, the timing was surreal. 1 month, he's in cuffs calling his pops. The next, he's holding his own son, stepping into the role T.I. once held for him. The next moment, King was holding his own son. Funny on the surface, yes, but beneath the humor was something serious, a reminder that cycles repeat. How King navigates fatherhood may ultimately decide whether his child follows the same mistakes or breaks free from them. Running parallel to that is King's grind in music. Since his teens, he's been dropping tracks, trying to step out of T.I.'s shadow. But the October arrest and the noise that followed put his artistry in a strange light. Controversy brings clicks, sure. When he released Dear Son after his child's birth, people tuned in not just for the music, but to see if he'd rap about growth, regret, or defiance. The risk, though, is obvious. King's name could end up tied more to viral mugshots than mixtapes. As Billboard pointed out, being the child of a celebrity cuts both ways. The doors are open, but the expectations are sky high. King himself compared his bond with his father to Ghost and Tariq from Power Tense, but rooted in love. That comparison spills into his music too, a young man trying to escape his father's legacy while still being shaped by it. For better or worse, being T.I.'s son is part of his brand. And in hip-hop, family legacies are both blessing and curse. We've seen it before: Lil Romeo balancing Master P's empire with his own career, or Coi Leray fighting constant comparisons to her father Benzino. Children of rap royalty are always judged on whether they earned success or inherited it. The viral Falcons game argument made that tension even louder. King shouted he wasn't raised in privilege, that he spent much of his childhood with his grandmother, not in T.I. and Tiny's mansion. That claim to authenticity explains why he flashes burners online and leans into controversy. But here's the paradox. The harder he tries to prove he's not just a privileged kid, the more the media frames him as exactly that. King's story also reflects something bigger than one family. Hip-hop is full of cycles where artists who survive the streets now raise kids who try to emulate the same world. T.I. is a perfect example. He built his career on hustling and prison bars, only to later reinvent himself as a mogul and family man. Yet King looks back at that past and sees it as more authentic than the suburban comfort he grew up in. It's the eternal cycle. Fathers fight to give their kids a better life, only to watch them rejected in search of realness. Even T.I. admits the frustration. In interviews, he said King is determined to do things his own way, no matter the advice. And King's need to carve his own lane mirrors countless. Hip-hop heirs kids raised with money but chasing credibility in the streets. At the core of it all is a father-son clash. And because this isn't a regular family, but a famous one, every blow-up plays out under a microscope. The Falcons game, the online arguments, the arrest footage where King asked to call his dad, none of these were private moments. They became public performances, whether the family wanted it or not. So when King compared himself and to Ghost and Tariq, it wasn't exaggeration, it was reality. A generational power struggle, love buried under resentment, each trying to prove the other wrong while the world watches. So what comes next for King Harris? That's the million-dollar question. Right now, he stands at one of the biggest crossroads of his life. With the birth of his son, he has a chance to break the cycle and step into a role that could redefine him in ways nobody expects. Fatherhood can anchor a young man, forcing him to prioritize responsibility over recklessness. But it can also become another weight on shoulders already buckling under scrutiny. Every move King makes as a father will be watched, judged, and dissected. The question is whether that pressure will forge him into something stronger or crush him. His music career faces the same test. Controversy may drive clicks, but clicks don't guarantee credibility. His challenge now is to turn the pain of his arrest, the tension with his father, and the chaos of growing up in the spotlight into storytelling that feels raw and undeniable. If he succeeds, he can carve out a lane beyond just being T.I.'s son. But if he keeps leaning only on viral moments, he risks being remembered as a headline instead of a headliner. The Harris name carries weight in hip-hop culture, and that weight is now King's to bear. His father built an empire out of hustling, hardship, and hard time. Now the world is watching to see whether King will honor or undermine that legacy. His wins and losses won't just define him. They'll reflect on T.I. as a father, as a mentor, and as a man, because this isn't just about gangs or mugshots. This is about a generational struggle about inheritance, legacy, and the burden of living in the shadow of greatness. King Harris stands between two narratives: the reckless, privileged kid chasing street cred, a young father who turns pain into artistry and finally steps into his own. Which path he chooses will decide the next headline. Will it be another mugshot or a platinum plaque? At the end of the day, King Harris is more than just T.I.'s son. He's a rapper, a father, and a young man fighting to build an empire of his own. And the real question isn't whether T.I. begged a gang member. It's whether King Harris can finally rise above the cycle before the cycle swallows him whole. Click one of the cards on your screen to see more stories like this.